and ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Echoes of Europe. Today we're going to take you back to Lisbon, May 2014, a Champions League final that swung from heartbreak to history in a matter of minutes. Madrid chasing La Decima and Atlético Madrid chasing immortality.
So we're going to be going through the emotion, the atmosphere, the legacy, and not just the tactics of the game. So without further ado, let's kick it off. Road to Lisbon. Why are we doing Lisbon? Well, last week we covered in the Stadio de Luís in the Culture Corner, which of course is Benfica's stadium, which is based in Lisbon. So we thought this is a good way for us to kick off our look back. So we're going to look back at historic games every now and then, players, managers, kits, stadiums, whatever we feel like. There won't just be finals, but obviously this one felt like a decent go after Benfica's heroics last week. First and foremost, we've managed to coordinate wearing opposite shirts today without even talking about it.
Left hand.
Yeah, exactly. I do have a Real Madrid shirt behind me, as you can see. But obviously the one I'm wearing is an Atleti shirt. I do associate more with Atleti than I do Real Madrid. This is from the 1920 season. Not a particularly phenomenal season in terms of Atleti. I just like the shirt, and I bought it during COVID when I was bored. I've seen Atletico live quite a few times, which is why I have bought it. Scott, what are you wearing?
So I have the kit, not jersey, from the season after they won La Decima. So if anything, it's quite an iconic kit.
It's been the pink thing, isn't it?
Sorry, mate?
It's got the pink thing.
It has, yeah. So it coincides with the pink away kit. So it's got very minor pink accents on the home kit. But it's quite clean. It's a very clean looking kit. And
the athletic kit, it's quite clean as well.
I'm not a big fan of stripes and kits. See, I like a bit of clean kits. So
I'm not a fan of striped kits either, but I do like an athletic stripe. I don't know why. I think it looks classy on them, less so maybe on Southampton and Stoke.
Yeah. I think the red and white, when you think of certain colours and kits, I think red and white stripes always draws you to Atletico Madrid and not Southampton and other teams like that. So it is quite a nice kit. But as you saw by my top last week and my praise of it, I very much like simple kits. So
whereas I can be a bit more flashy at times, but we'll cover that as we explore further pods. The road to Lisbon. So in terms of how they actually got to the final, I won't. Real Madrid and Atleti both topped their groups. Real Madrid's group contained Galatasaray, Juve, and Copenhagen. Atleti's group had Zenit, Porto, and Austria Vienna. In the knockouts, Real Madrid beat in the last 16 Schalke 9-2 on aggregate.
Demolition job.
Absolutely wild. They then beat Dortmund, Jurgen Klopp's Dortmund, 3-2 on aggregate. They were 3-0 up from the first leg and then lost 2-0 away. And I think, if I remember correctly, Klopp's team were actually quite unlucky not to have gone through in that one, based on the time. And then they beat Pep Guardiola's Bayern Munich 5-0 in the semi-final, 1-0 at home, and 4-0 in the second leg away from home in the Allianz Arena, which I think was quite impressive. In terms of Atleti, they beat Milan, AC Milan, 5-1 on aggregate in the last 16. Impressive 4-1 home win in the second leg. They beat Barcelona, Lionel Messi and co. 2-1 after, which was I remember watching this, a great 1-1 draw in the home one, and then away one, and then a 1-0 win in the home leg. And then lastly, which I really remember from this run of all the games, including Madrid, is that semi-final against Chelsea, where the first leg was 0-0 in Madrid, and then they won 3-1 away. But it was Thibaut Courtois keeping out his parent club, Chelsea. And that was really, really... Obviously, it was Mourinho v Simeone as well, or El Cholo, as they call him. That was class. Obviously, that's a little, of how they got there. But in terms of where they were, so Atletico at the time, 2014, they are champions. of Spain. They've just become champions of Spain. They've won La Liga. Simeone is at the very start. We all obviously, every football fan knows who Simeone is now. But I think at that time he was seen, I think similar. If they spoiler that, if they would have won, I think he would be He would have been seen at the time similarly to Mourinho. I think in that sort of genius type special bracket, a lot more so than maybe he's still obviously a great manager and his longevity is massively respected. But they won the league, which is great. Obviously, they were defensive, dogged, underdog energy. They were absolute bastards to play against. They're horrible. So obviously, I've seen Liverpool play Atleti, numerous times. Horrible team to watch come and visit. They can frustrate you. They can be really difficult. From a Madrid's perspective, they were after La Decima. Now, I wasn't sure. I did a bit of research, obviously, before. I'm glad I did a bit of research, but I did a bit of research before this. And I wasn't sure whether, because obviously everyone's heard of La Decima, whether that came afterwards, whether it was, and it was actually, they were talking about it in the players and stuff before. They were calling it La Decima. Now, they hadn't won the Champions League in 12 years, which, as you get older, seems less time, but I think at the time felt like an eternity for them. But they'd only won 3 league titles in that period, in that 12 years as well. Ancelotti didn't win the league title and didn't actually win the league title in his first spell in charge of Madrid. He's actually won more European Cups with Madrid than he has league titles, 3-2, which I thought was quite interesting. But they did win the Copa del Rey that year, and Gareth Bale, who we will definitely cover today, scored that absolute banging goal against Barca where he runs outside the touchline.
Off the pitch, yeah.
So yeah, there was a really obviously interesting year for La Liga. Spanish teams were about to win the Champions League and have doubles in the final. Spanish teams won the Champions League in 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018. And then the final was hosted in 2019, but they didn't win it. Somebody else did. And then, obviously, they had a very good... And obviously, there's the Europa League dominance at this point as well with Sevilla. And later on, Villarreal. Really, really good time for Spanish football. So it was... the build-up to it was, 2 Madrid clubs, 1 city, 1 night.
I think that was the first time ever as well. I think 2 clubs from the same city played in the final of Champions League.
Yes.
So that's an interesting that as well.
Which is really huge. And I think, you think back of like Liverpool-Everton FA Cup finals, the Manchester derbies in recent FA Cup finals.
Yeah.
They felt massive. Obviously, there's too many London clubs to really care when they actually play in things like that. So that felt huge. And I think we've obviously thought about all English finals. We've seen a few of them in recent years. Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs, Man City against Chelsea. We've seen, obviously, quite a few all English finals. 2 clubs from the same city. It is mad. It is absolutely mad.
I think as clubs of our own teams, it would be absolutely terrifying to go into that level of game against your utmost bitter rivals. So I think that just goes to show the emotion involved as well.
Here's one for us. If there was another 2-city final, what would be like the most likely next one? So 2 clubs, 1 city is what I mean, rather than 2-city final. That doesn't make any sense. But would it be Manchester United City? Would it be AC Milan, Inter Milan? But the strength of Serie A, although Inter Milan have reached the last 2 out of 3 Champions League finals, that feels unrealistic. I
feel it's more likely to be London clubs over anyone else, Chelsea, Arsenal, rather than a Man United, Man City game.
Yeah,
that's probably the easier way out.
It is, because there are about 50 London clubs.
There's about 50 of them, But Chelsea have proven in the last couple of years that when they switch it on in Europe, they can win stuff. Arsenal,
they are.
Will they get over the line, sort of thing? You're not really sure. So I think if you're looking for an example, that's probably the only easy one, because it doesn't look like Madrid and Barcelona will be able to compete at that level to get to the final. But you never know; they might switch it on for
they're not from the same. They're not from the same.
Yeah, cool. Damn it, yeah. Not some city. I was thinking some country.
But yeah, cool.
Yeah,
without further ado, then 2 Madrid clubs, 1 city, 1 night. Let's get going.
Let's get going.
Into the match. So here we are. Estadio de Luís, Lisbon, 2014. Where did you watch the game?
Well, I think I was only 15 at the time, so I watched it in my house.
15.
I watched it,
Lying
right?
about his age. No, but you're 25.
I was 12. Yeah, sorry, I always get confused with the 05 and 15. So, yeah, I was at that time. I ran a bar at that point, a sports bar.
May the 24th.
May the 24th. It was a very, very busy night in a bar that I used to work in. So I still managed to watch the game though. So yeah, it was a very, very enjoyable evening. What about yourself, Tim?
I ran a rival bar
Yes,
across the road from you, and we didn't know each other at the time.
we did not.
And we were even busier.
I don't think so, mate. I don't think so.
But I was actually, so this is mad, see, I was on my way back from Barcelona, and the flight was delayed. So I missed some of the first half. So I obviously since I went and rewatched, but when I got in, literally I got in maybe 15 minutes to go of the game. And to be honest, I felt like I captured enough of the game from that. And then obviously the next day, because I'm that much of a football nerd, obviously I went and rewatched the entire game.
Yeah.
But obviously which we've done before today, which was interesting.
Yep.
Cool, long pause that will make trimmer. So, pre-game, I'll cover Atleti.
And I'll cover Madrid.
Madrid. Real Madrid. We need to specify.
Well, I think Madrid are known as Madrid rather than Real Madrid.
Madrid and Atleti.
Yeah. I think if you say Madrid, you think of Real Madrid. So
you do. So obviously, before the game, I was looking up some quotes, some interviews, things like that from players, fans. Obviously you can see all the Atleti fans out in sheer numbers. So they are very passionate support. In terms of what it meant. There was Godin, I think, called it the biggest game in their history, which I think is bang on, isn't it? You're playing your biggest rivals. It's only their second ever Champions League final. They'd lost one in the early 80s. They went to a replay, I think, and then they lost. Pepe Reina's dad was in goal for Atleti. I remember that.
That's a cool stat.
I don't remember that. I've read that. I wasn't born, but which was interesting. So in terms of the game, obviously, I think Thuram was out. So Thuram is out for Atleti. But then they start Courtois. I believe they're playing a 4-4-2, but they're playing Courtois in goal, obviously on loan from Chelsea. This will be his last game for Atletico. Of course, now Real Madrid. Juan Ferran at right back. Felipe Luis at left back. Legendary left back, really. Miranda, not the BBC comedian, centre half, and Godin at the back. Raul Garcia on the right. This is more of a four, really. Koke, and then Thiago and Gabi, with then David Villa, one of the great strikers. And to be honest, at some point we'll probably do a pod on him because he was class.
Believe it or not, what's the link with the Swans, I think he was?
He was. You are right, actually. I think after this season.
Yes, sir.
Because I think he goes to New York after this. But yeah, David Villa up front, sort of a last hurrah for him this season, in my opinion, at Atleti. And Diego Costa. A spoiler alert, Diego Costa is going to last 9 minutes in this final.
Yeah.
Just for full, while we're here, off the bench, Adrian came on for Diego Costa after those 9 minutes. Adrian Lopez Alvarez. They also brought on Toby Alderweireld and Jose Sosa for Raul Garcia and Felipe Luis, respectively, as the game carried on. Scott, Real Madrid?
Real Madrid, so the team of Galacticos. Starting in goal was the ever-present Iker Casillas, arguably one of the greatest Spanish keepers of all time.
I think he's massively overrated, and I think we'll cover that in the game.
I don't. I think he's superb.
We'll talk about that in a bit.
I think he's very good.
I think he's rubbish.
Then you got highly touted and winner of many medals, Dani Carvajal at right back. You then had a surprise starter in Rafael Varane, who started over Pepe, which was at the time was a big call. Sergio Ramos, I don't think any more need to say than Sergio Ramos. Fabio Coentrao, as Ronaldo made sure reporter said correctly once, at left back. And their midfield three was slightly changed because with the suspension of Xabi Alonso. So Sami Khedira came in place of him, and then man of the match, Angel Di Maria and Luka Modric alongside. You then had the best British player of all time in Gareth Bale starting on the right, the best player of all time starting on the left in Cristiano Ronaldo, and probably the birth of Karim Benzema at striker, because he wasn't really known for being at the top of his game until this came about. Like, so
Yeah, he was obviously a striker, but he wasn't prolific, was he?
he wasn't prolific at all. Like, so I think it was
He wasn't prolific in this game either.
Yeah, but he's still in his way. And then coming off the bench for Madrid, you had two players come off around an hour, which was Marcelo and Isco, and then they brought on Alvaro Morata on the 80th minute because they were chasing that equaliser.
Spoiler alert. Let's talk about the first half.
Yeah.
I think, in terms of the stadium, I think it was massive. In terms of atmosphere, I think it looked brilliant, in my opinion, from TV and from reports I've read. It looked really tense. I think you could feel that. In terms of obviously the first half itself, I felt, I don't know, it's a proper Atletico game where they keep it as tight as they can.
Yeah.
Defensive grit, that sort of thing, and that I feel like nothing really happens, in my opinion, until we get to the goal by Godin.
Yeah.
And again, this is my example of Iker Casillas, and I think he's a good goalie. I just don't think he's as good as his press. I think I don't think he's in the top 10 goalies in the last 20 years, for example. I think.
Yeah.
They don't deal with the second ball. Real Madrid. Casillas is in absolute no man's land. Come for a cross, not for the only time this game, but it's the only time they actually get punished. And he's pretty much, but he's coming towards the end.
Yeah.
Within 3 years, I think I'm watching him play for Porto at Anfield. Comes a clean sheet, but yeah, he did concede 5 in the previous game. So watching him, come for it, and obviously it's massive. From Atletico's perspective, it's exactly what they want. 1-0 up, defensively solid. Godin, their captain. Nope, not their captain at the time. Gabby was their captain. Apologies. He was their future captain. But he is the man, Godin, actually, that had scored the winner against Barcelona to win them La Liga on the last day.
Yeah.
So, huge. I think that there's pandemoniums. All you can hear in the stands is Atleti, because that's basically what they chant. Atleti.
Yeah.
Over and over again. And it is absolute scenes.
Yeah.
The rest of the first half, Bale has a good chance. I
think, didn't he have the most chances out of the Madrid team?
Yeah. Well, yes, but then we'll get to the second half, and I've got no spoilers, but there's definitely a player I think who was having a lot of chances in the game, but I think Bale did. Ramos was squaring up as well before the goal. I forgot about that. There was a free kick. Ramos is obviously fired up. They're all fired. It's quite a physical game, I think. In terms of yellow cards, they all come, obviously not generally in the first half. I think there's only one booking for Atleti in the first half. But throughout the 90, 120 even, there are 7 Atletico yellow cards, and there are 5 Real Madrid yellow cards. No reds, so
it's a perfect derby.
I thought it was very, very interesting. In the first half, there's only Real Madrid have 3 shots, Atletico have 4. He's a very sort of attritional part of the Atletico thing, and so I think moving into half time, did you think that Real Madrid would come back and win it? At that point, remember, this isn't the Real Madrid. It's hard to forget because this isn't the Real Madrid. Yes, it's Ronaldo. But Gareth Bale, in my opinion, isn't Gareth Bale yet. I think he's about to be Gareth Bale.
No, he was still coming through.
10th minute.
I personally thought that they would have quite a few chances, clear-cut chances where they can come back into the game. I think the typecast style of play that Simeone plays, you cannot do that for 94 minutes in this sort of level of game. I think the way they press and the way they go about the game, I think, is why they lost that game. Spoiler alert. And then when what happened finally happened, they were just for them, there was no coming back for it. So you always think, and with a scoreline of 1-0 at half time in this sort of game, you always think the second half, the team that are down will always be the stronger team because they will be the one going for it, and the team who are leading will be like, let's just sit back and relax here, or try and relax and try not to get, especially for a Simeone Atletico Madrid team, which is what they are known for.
So on to the second half. Real Madrid came out. They had 10 shots to Atletico's 3. They obviously came out. They are chasing the game for the whole of the second half. Ronaldo, I think I counted he had 4 decent chances. I felt he was, but in none of those scenarios, to be fair to him, and maybe this is a good time to sort of talk about Ronaldo, or maybe we talk about it a little bit later on, but I don't think he actually should have squared it. There's a lot of he has a couple of free kicks, which he obviously doesn't score free kicks anymore at this point in his career. So, but he has at least 4 chances that I can count. Bale has another chance, another golden chance that I think he takes with his wrong foot. Atletico pretty much have one more chance, which is an Adrian chance, where very similar to the first one. It's a second ball from a set piece, and he doesn't do well. Before the 92nd and 92nd minute and 48 seconds, or as Madrid fans call it, 92-48. Do you have any thoughts before we discuss that on the second half?
No, I think you pretty much echo the stuff I was going to say. I think they had some chances to win the game. Oh, sorry, not to win the game, but to come back into the game. And it seemed like the further they got into the game that they weren't going to be able to get that over the line.
Then the 92nd minute comes along. Real Madrid get a corner. Luka Modric of Swansea City fame steps up, whips in a perfect corner. It's an absolutely brilliant ball in. And I'll be honest, I really want Atletico to win. I thought they were going to win, but that's because I'm a football romantic, I think. In reality, even though it's the 92nd, 48th minute, it feels inevitable. And there is absolute bedlam when Ramos scores. Bedlam. The Real Madrid stand, there's limbs. You can accuse Real Madrid of a lot of things, in terms of what sort of fans maybe they attract globally. But those fans of that game are not going to be, somebody that's never actually seen them play, but favourite player is Ronaldo.
Yeah.
They're going to be real fans, and they are in their greatest moment. And there's obviously the camera pans, and it looks at the Real Madrid fans and the best time of their life. Simeone's on the touchline, encouraging the Atletico fans, and the Atletico fans and players, in my opinion, in that moment, look broken.
Yeah, for me, that's when they lost it.
They lost the game. I agree. They lost the game then.
So now we're going to talk about what happened in extra time. I think what you'll understand from this, I think it was a Madrid team that was still in a state of euphoria, along with their fans, just coming back into the game, going against an Atletico Madrid team that were utterly destroyed, along with their fan base, because they had come seconds from becoming immortal, and that was taken by their bitter rivals. So I think this team and the fans got in extra time were so deflated. Even though Simeone, like you said, Tim, was trying to get them back up, I think it was an impossible task. Any thoughts before we go into the goals that came?
There's just all that springs to mind is in that as that extra time is going, you just know Real Madrid are going to win it. And I think there's a 4-1 scoreline flatters the overall thing. I almost remember this game as being 1-0 to Real Madrid, a 92nd minute with 48 seconds gone, winner. Because obviously it's not, but that's the equaliser. But if anybody asked me, and probably Real Madrid fans, who scored the winner of that game, they'd probably say Ramos.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the way obviously Atletico set up as well defensively, for them to lose 1-0 makes more sense than it to then eventually become
lose 4-1. Yeah.
4-1.
Yeah.
But let's go through the goals, and let's start with I'll lead you take the lead. But yeah, the back post header.
Yeah.
From Gareth Bale.
Gareth Bale, arguably the best British player of all time.
I think we can cover that one in a separate.
Yeah, we can.
He's up there.
He's up there. He's definitely in the conversation. Which is.
But I'm intrigued because I feel like this is the moment. Obviously, that and the Copa del Rey goal. This is the moment I feel like he arrives on the world stage. I feel like,
Yeah.
even as an Englishman, listening to the coverage again and sort of bits, I feel like everybody was actually wanting him to do well, which obviously changes when you become successful. We see that with all top players, especially ones that go abroad or ones at the top level. I felt like people want to do well. What was Gareth Bale 2014 to you and to Welsh people and Welsh football then? Because obviously that's pre-Euro 2016.
Yeah, it was. Obviously, there was a lot of hope for Welsh fans at the point that he could galvanise the Welsh squad and take us to the Euros. Thankfully, he did, and we did have a very good Euros. But it was just Wales were crying out for a star for such a long time. At that moment in time of Welsh international football, we didn't really have anyone. Nothing to galvanise the fans around, and you've got to think with Wales fans in particular. There are two massive clubs in Wales that even when they're with the country, they are still divided. When Gareth Bale came along, when Wales played, it was just about Wales. It was about. I think their slogan was "Together Stronger," and that is what helped us progress and get to the Euros and perform as well as you did. And Gareth Bale was that big figurehead. We always saw him as the future Ballon d'Or winner, future best, arguably the best winner in the world. And I think the end of this season and the seasons after really showcased his abilities to the rest of the world, something that we all believed in for such a long time. Do you have any of your thoughts on Gareth Bale as someone not affiliated?
I think at this moment in time, I think he is in the top 5 best players in the world. I think he's behind Messi. I think he's obviously behind Ronaldo.
Yeah.
I think he's behind Suarez at this point, and I think and because Suarez is currently obviously ripping it. I think Gareth Bale is probably. I think he's better than Neymar. I think Neymar again is. I think Gareth Bale is the 4th best player in the world at this moment, and I think in 2014, I think if you ranked all of Bale's seasons because of injuries and other factors, I think 2014 is probably quite high. He is obviously the years at Spurs where I'm pretty sure he wins PFA Player of the Year, obviously getting the move to Madrid. I think it's obviously 2 really good years at Spurs after his breakthrough in the Champions League against Inter Milan, that hat-trick. That was 2010, like November, December, so we're only 3.5 years in from that. Ended Mycom. So I think obviously he's a phenomenal player. I have a Bale shirt with this Real Madrid kit. We haven't actually talked about the kits, but I felt like we shouldn't hijack it. I really like the Real Madrid shirt in this game. I really like the right on the back. I don't like the Atletico shirt. Not a massive fan of the collar. But anyway, back to Bale. I think he's brilliant. As I said, 4th or 5th best player in the world at this time. And I think he goes from strength to strength up until his injuries, and then he still manages to score loads of goals anyway, and in scoring Champions League finals, even when after his injuries. So, obviously top player, really, really good player, one of the best these shorts have produced, and by far, in my opinion, the best Welsh player of all time.
Could not agree more.
Next goal was a mistake by Thibaut Courtois, in my opinion. I don't think he does very well. He obviously doesn't make many mistakes. I've seen him make the most saves ever in a Champions League final. Unfortunately, 8 years after this, guy's phenomenal, really good. Marcelo, who was on the bench, and I believe he comes on, doesn't he?
He came on, and I think it was the 59th minute to be exact, or 60th minute.
Because Bale scores in the 110th, and I think Marcelo scores in the 118th.
Yes.
So, and Marcelo loves Real Madrid as well. Obviously, he's a legend, and I think this really announces him on the world stage a bit, because it was always him, and I always say his name wrong, but you say Xabi Alonso's name wrong. So, Concentrao or
Fabio Coentrao.
Fabio Coentrao. I think this obviously puts him above him, and Coentrao didn't last very long. No. And Marcelo obviously goes on to win more Champions Leagues. Really, really good goal. And then obviously the last goal, which I will let you talk about this player. We can obviously give him his own episode, I'm sure, at some point.
Yeah.
But obviously, I think no man wanted to score more in Lisbon and had more shots and tried to score more, and then took it's not a consolation goal because they win 4-1, but he celebrated like it was a night.
He celebrated like it was his goal that won the Champions League for Real Madrid. I think if you're familiar with this final, you are familiar with that photo, because that photo has stood the test of time. Celebrating the goal as if he's the one that scored that second winner with his top off. in a game that was already won. I think if that doesn't give you an example of who Ronaldo is, then I don't think we can give a better one. But yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo, where do you even start when you say that name? Obviously, his name divides the world of football, because when you think of Cristiano Ronaldo, you think of Lionel Messi as well, because they were the two greatest players of all time.
And it's a boring debate. It's just boring.
Because they are both exceptional and could both play the game completely differently.
Very differently.
Messi is a beautiful footballer and a natural footballer. Ronaldo is just a machine. He's a
success machine as well.
He's crafted himself into one of the best footballers of all time, and he deserves all the respect in the world.
He's a really good player.
But yeah, his antics after scoring Madrid's fourth goal.
It's the Champions League, though. It is a Champions League.
It's the euphoria of it, and it was. I think the timing of it as well in the 120th minute. It was the end of the game, so why not go crazy? I know I wouldn't care if it was 10-0. If I scored the last goal against Cardiff, I would go absolutely nuts. So all power to him.
Fair.
All power to him.
All power to him. And obviously the Real Madrid fans at this point are having the time of their lives.
Yeah.
Atletico fans probably want the ground to swallow them up.
Yes, they do.
I imagine. Well, I couldn't imagine. I think we've talked about it before. Obviously, we'll relate. And we'll relate to what we know, but we'll obviously we'll do our best. In terms of Champions League, obviously, for me, Everton will never play Liverpool in a Champions League final. That's just ridiculous to suggest. So you have to focus on Manchester United. And we've been close to playing them, actually, a couple of times. One time we got there in 2005 and they didn't. They lost in the semi, and the other time, 2007, sorry. And then the year after, they went through and we lost 2008. So if we won, it would be the best day of my life, and I never probably stop talking about it. If we lost, I may have to give up altogether.
Yeah.
And obviously for you, I know that there's been a couple of times, I know it's a Champions League pod, but there's been a playoff final very close where you've been playing Cardiff a couple of times.
Yes. I was not looking forward to that at all. I was not. It's a great start, obviously. It's a bit different now, because I think Swansea City were the first club to win back to back. But prior to that, Swans Cardiff rivalry, there were no team had won twice in the season, so to play them in the biggest game that ever would have been for those two, I don't think I could have coped with the emotion. Either way, to be honest, though, winning I would be unbearable, and losing I would be unbearable. So
yeah. So imagine for those poor Athletic fans, I think maybe on the same plane, going into the office with the same fans, sitting around the dinner table, catching a taxi. And unfortunately for Atletico, they have to go through it again in 2 years' time. I don't think it's as painful, but fair play to them. They're a phenomenal club. I really like them. I think they're great fans. I think, considering there is a gulf between Atletico and Real Madrid. But Atletico were in the second division, 15 years before this. They were in financial ruin. Players like Torres had to be sold to help keep the club going.
Yeah.
And that was only 7 years before this. So, fair play to them. And I hope that one day they will get that European Cup. And if it's a Real Madrid Athletic final for a third time for them, I hope they win it. But, it was a phenomenal night in Lisbon, wasn't it? Absolutely phenomenal night in Lisbon. And it really started, I think it really marks the true second age of Real Madrid. Maybe the third age, to be fair, because they did win it in...
Was it 5 in 9 after this? After this, they won this one?
Yeah. They win it. They win it, obviously, 14, 16, 17, 18, 22, 24.
Yeah. Which is...
I've got six... That's 6 fingers. I've just counted, which is wild. Which is as many as any other team apart from AC Milan.
Yeah.
So that's how impressive this period is for them, with Ronaldo, with Bale, with Benzema, with Modric, with Ramos, and Pepe. Not even getting on the pitch in this game. No. Bit wild. And obviously Carlo Ancelotti. I'm sure he'll get his own episode, but he at this point, I think this is his 7th European Cup final, either as a player or manager, in 2014. He's going to feature in a few more in his career.
Yeah.
I think 2 more. That's insane. as a player and a manager, and obviously this is his, he just wins it, doesn't he? This is his third win as a coach at this point,
Yeah.
and his fifth overall, I want to say, as I think he won a couple as a player. Insane, absolutely insane. So yeah, fair play to the man. But yeah, it was a great final. It's not. Where does it rank in terms of European Cup finals? Do you think? Because it's not. Because I think what makes it special is the derby, isn't it? It's the fact it's a derby.
Yeah.
And the late equaliser.
I think if it was Madrid against someone else, it wouldn't be anywhere near as big, personally.
No.
I think, obviously, we've touched on it a few times now. Being against City rivals, that heightens everything a little bit.
I think that gives it iconic status as a final.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that, actually. Yeah.
Probably more. I was more excited to cover this one than, let's say, we were covering Real Madrid Juventus, which happens a few years later, or even Real Madrid Atletico, which happens 2 years later, because that's just 0-0 and goes to pens, which I'm sure we will have to cover at some point. But that, this game I had late equaliser, really cool stadium. Ronaldo winning in Lisbon, Bale's first Champions League, Benzema's first Champions League, Modric's first Champions League.
I just drama-wise, there's obviously another game which I think you might allude to, but I think drama-wise, I don't think it's up there with Istanbul, because in Istanbul,
for the United fans out there,
yeah,
99,
because in those games, it was perceived that the teams were done. There was no coming back, and then they came back. So,
yeah,
what to make it 1-1? Yes. The timing of it makes it iconic. The opponent makes it iconic. But I think there have been, other iconic finals.
There are better finals, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it is a really iconic one. And in terms of Real Madrid finals, it's probably the one that sticks out in my mind the most.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the best goals either. I thought all the goals in this final, none of them are very good.
No.
I thought that was really the fact there's 5 of them and none of them are that good.
Yeah.
I thought that was quite interesting. But yeah, man, it's been good to sort of go over the 2014 final again.
Yeah.
It's been good. On to the next one.
On to the next one. Take care.